In October of 2010, Irma and I headed north to Ontario, Canada, to teach on the Algonquin Reserve at Golden Lake. We drove around this lovely lake in the southern Ontario Valley and found the little Algonquin village known as Pikwakanagan. Their Algonquin ancestors had hunted and fished the lush Ottawa River Valley for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. This western band numbers 426 on the reserve, with about 700 living off the reserve. The reserve covers 1,745 acres of trees, ponds, streams, and shoreline along Golden Lake. The town itself has a restaurant, gift, and gas station, several smoke shops, a tribal office, a medical center, a large community center, many homes, and the Museum and Algonquin Way Cultural Center. It was here that we settled in to teach for the month. Irma and I met Amy Bailey, the director of the Algonquin Cultural Center, Michelle, the curator of the museum, and Pearl, who ran the gift shop. The center consists of 2 log cabins joined together with an entry area, a gift shop, the museum collection, work areas, and offices. These 3 tireless employees hold traditional ceremonies, teach the Algonquin language, conduct art and craft workshops, and maintain the extensive museum collection. We began slowly making snow buntings. Michelle finished first, hanging hers from a cabin beam. I told everyone working during the day that they could then move on to make loons, bald eagles, cranes, wolf heads, or bear heads. Michelle moved on to the crane. Pearl and Jill moved on to loons. Amy really wanted to make a sturgeon, as it is her totem. I had never made a sturgeon, so we gathered pictures, went on the internet, saw videos of fishermen on the St. Lawrence Seaway, and I finally came up with a pattern. I gave the finished sturgeon, which was much smaller than life size, to Amy at the end of our stay. The evening group of ladies, Madeline, Valerie, Jacqueline, Shirley, and Carrie, all made loons. They only met 2 nights a week, and with the power outage one night, when we sewed by lantern and candlelight, there was simply not enough time for anything more complicated. During the month, we were fortunate to be able to stay in a charming little cabin called the Best Western on the shore of Golden Lake. It was one of several cabins operated by the owners of the lodge at Greystone. I got addicted to watching the lake, the sunrises, the sunsets, the lake calm in heavy surf, in thick fog. I would search for ducks, loons, gulls, and fishermen. It was the first thing I did every morning and the last thing as dark fell. It was my personal lake ritual. Back at the museum, Angela came in with her children and began a loon. Marion, Heather, and Estelle wandered in and out, completing what they could. Jill taught us about the complexities of cleaning the museum artifacts. She would carefully vacuum, brush, and rub a special small eraser compound over the material, and then repeat the process over and over, stopping frequently to pick out tiny black specks with delicate tweezers. The entire procedure was always done very gently and very patiently. The center had received a special grant to clean its entire collection. It would take months. On one of our many trips back and forth between the cultural center and the cabin, we stopped in Deacon at the Algonquin trading post owned by Amy and her husband Doug. We found them both in residence and got them to tell us about the exquisite little shop.
I'm Amy Bailey, the owner of the Algonquin Trading Post in beautiful downtown Deakin. Do you remember the story of the Deakin thing that Mr. Wagner told you?
Oh.
There was some guy here named Deakin.
Yeah. He lives on one side, and then as his kids grow up, they build on the other side. And then you have people living like on an intersection, eh? And that gets to be a little village, you know? Yeah, you know how it works, eh?
As the month passed, the little birds gathered. I finished an eagle, a crane, a bearhead, a loon, and a wolf, as well as the sturgeon. Pearl decided to work on a bear and Jill on a loon. After finishing those, they each moved on to the eagle. Michelle finished her crane and began an eagle. Carrie took us on a personal tour of the daycare center which she directs. We watched an elder teaching drumming to a little one. The building was a delight, with plenty of room inside and out for the children to play, a kitchen for lunch preparation, and pads to spread for nap time. Carrie was justifiably proud of their space and their efforts. As the month began to draw to a close, moose hunting season began, and I ordered a moose meat pie from Madeline, who was recognized as one of the best cooks on the reserve. She bargains with several of the hunters to bake pies in exchange for the meat. They get several pies in payment, and she gets several to use or sell. I took mine all the way home to North Carolina, and we can vouch for the fact that Madeline is an excellent cook. During the last few days, everyone hurried to finish, and on the very last day, the community held a funeral for one of its members, and many of our seamstresses were unable to be present for the final picture. Then we gathered for the group picture. It had been a fun month up north in Canada, and I'm going to miss the smiling faces, the Algonquin village named Pikwakanagan, and the beautiful lake called Golden.